It's getting pretty hot these days. In 2022, Europe got crushed by a heat wave that set temperature records in 12 countries. From pole to pole, we saw record high temperatures on every continent. The last 8 years have been the hottest years on record. Despite that, you still have people saying things aren't that bad because snow still falls every winter. Go tell that to the people in Buffalo, though I wouldn't advise grabbing that one by the horns. It's all fun and games until the things that experts warned you about start happening. Those experts left for dead by some on the right because they don't want them in the middle of their affairs, while claiming that those experts are in the middle of affairs with elites. Those experts who are feeding us lies and GMOs because your eyes can see and know what the truth is without even a glance at robust, respectable research because of that passionate, powerful post that you saw on that private Facebook page. The ozone layer now having a date of expected recovery is not an accident, and wouldn't have happened without those experts and their recommendations, but I digress. Your doctor of social media will not hold up to a PhD, but if you think so, then you might need a DSM 5 if you want to be most accurate, which I know is very important to you. It's unfortunate that the hole in the atmosphere is beginning to improve while the hole in our culture is beginning to grow. Don't believe me? In the last month, we've had a 10-year-old shoot his mom and a 6-year-old shoot his teacher. And these aren't water gun fights. We have states allowing gun carrying without licenses and other states intent on making preteens have children. We have anti-homeless architecture in major cities all over the country and the government leaders looking to criminalize homelessness. We have more millionaires than ever and yet more income inequality than ever. We have 10% of the country struggling with food security and the federal government unwilling to continue free meals for students, though there's research that better nutrition equals better learning. And that's just the objective stuff. Subjectively, things are getting even hotter. Politics is in the worst state most of us have ever seen. We have stalemates in voting, we have inter and intra-party conflicts, and communication is falling apart. If you ask around, one side is woke and sensitive with a colorful agenda, and the other side is hateful and bigoted with a pretty black and white agenda. We saw people storm a government building believing that they had to save their country. We saw people call the pandemic a conspiracy. We saw one president change the entire political landscape of this country. And it hits home too. How many of you have politically opposite friends that you talk to? How many of you can have a civil political discussion? You pick a color and a side and make mortal enemies out of neighbors with Mortal Kombat as your final fantasy because in this game of life, you can't wait for someone to push your buttons. We try to make change without making sense, making mountains out of Capitol Hills while these capital leaders sell the capital for capital so that they can live on Capitol Hills while on Capitol Hill. Maybe that's why America loves capitalism? How about we turn off caps lock and stop the cap? Lower your case and lower your tone fighting about who's more guilty. Arguing who started a fire means nothing when the house is still burning. Even worse, there's a pretty obvious trend in the last few years of focusing on yourself. For this year, one might call it 23andMe. We've all heard and seen the quotes. I gotta take care of me, I gotta prioritize myself, I gotta protect my peace and happiness. I'm all I got at the end of the day. The sentiment is nice, but do we not see how it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that no one else will care about us if we all convince ourselves and each other that no one cares about us? Now let's be honest. How many of us are actually in situations where literally not one other person on the planet has a single piece of interest in our well-being? Exactly. So let's get back to reality. You're not strong for carrying all of that by yourself. You're just stubborn. Yes, people can do you wrong, but are you even doing yourself right? You're not wise for keeping people out. You're just scared. Scared to be flawed, scared to be human. Your emotional armor is not impenetrable. You're just ignoring more and more trauma. No IG story can wipe your eyes and rub your back on those nights when you're crying in your room. No artist will buy you your favorite snack on your worst day at work, and a podcast can't listen to you pour out your pain after a breakup. The richest person on the planet can't buy a will to live. Humans are social creatures. We do not thrive in isolation. You can put yourself first, but when you don't have the strength to pick yourself up, who will? This intense self-focus and the idea of you mind your business and I'll mind mine has made us self-centered and entitled individuals ready to snap when things don't go our way. Killing someone in a road rage incident isn't that big of a deal when you're the most important being in your own universe. Unnecessary gun deaths aren't that big of a deal because I need a gun to be protected even though I may never need to use it. The climate reaching a tipping point is sad, but I need Amazon Prime delivery in my life. We need to cool down. We need to look at the bigger picture. We need to step down from our own pedestals because self is now supreme. And when self is supreme, society suffers.